So in this video, I want to talk about the pros and cons of the so popularized investing strategy of only buying at MSRP. How many times have you guys gone onto a Discord, a subreddit, and seen people saying, I only invest at MSRP? You see it all the time. It's like a bragging thing, people saying, I only invest at MSRP. And hey, in this market, when market prices are higher than MSRP, I guess it is a bragging thing, right? But I feel like this whole idea of just investing at MSRP, if you're really looking to get the most out of investing in a Pokemon, it may not be the best strategy out there. I don't know exactly how this got popularized or who made it seem like this thing of being such a great strategy. But in this video, you guys can decide for yourself. Do you want to do this strategy or not? Definitely, it's up to you because everyone has their own investing strategy. There really is truly no right or wrong way to invest. Period. I mean, it just depends on how much risk and what kind of growth you want to see. But if you want to see growth in investing in a Pokemon and the extreme upsides that we've seen previously in history, this strategy I wouldn't say is the best thing, and I never have done this because I mean you'll see here with the cons, and I'll explain. It's just, in my opinion, not a great strategy. But first, let's just talk about the pros, the good part, right? Why do people even do this? Well, buying at it's sort of like buying at a floor price. When you buy MSRP, it's sort of like buying at a floor price when the market price is higher than MSRP. And let me explain this sort of thing. So a floor price is obviously a price that it can't go lower than. So for example, let's use a booster box as a for an example. So MSRP for a booster box is $161 USD. Okay, so right now let's use Phantasmal Flames for an example. Booster boxes are around $270, $280. Let's just say $300 to make it simple. So let's say the booster box is $300 right now, market price. Well, buying it at MSRP, you're paying $161, so you're paying about $140 less than market price. Well, let's say, for example, we saw with Deaths and Rivals, it got restocked on the Pokemon Center website, right? So it got restocked on Pokemon Center website, which is MSRP. So let's say that happens to Phantasmal Flames, and market price is $300. It gets restocked in Pokemon Center for MSRP at 161. What happens after the fact? Well, if you think about it, prices are not going to go down back to MSRP for market price unless there was such a large amount of supply at MSRP from the Pokemon Center restock. There's no possible way it's going to go to MSRP at market. There'd have to be an extreme amount of supply, which isn't realistic. So what happens? Well, that price MSRP, it creates that sort of floor price because it's not really going to go lower than that. And most likely, let's say, what we saw with Deaths and Rivals, it went from like 450 to like mid 300s. Still very far away from 161 at MSRP, but it's that reducing downside that pretty much you're buying at a price where it's almost impossible it goes lower than that. Like I said, even to reach MSRP, there would have to be an extreme amount of supply where it doesn't sell out on Pokemon Center, which like I said, it's not realistic. But that is the reason for buying at MSRP is when market price is higher than MSRP. If you buy at MSRP, it's very unlikely it's going to go below that. Because people obviously that buy and scalp, they're not going to sell it for any lower than MSRP. So it's just reducing downside, and that's the only reason why you would invest at MSRP or only have that strict strategy is when the market price is higher than MSRP. So that is the reason why people do it, and that's really the only reason why. That's the really only pro, but it's a good pro, right? Reducing downside risk, that's great. And obviously buying, I guess you can throw in here also as a pro, but it's kind of implied. You're buying already a huge percentage off of market price. I guess that's another pro, but like I said, it's sort of implied here. But moving on to the cons, what I want to talk about mainly in this video, there's a lot of cons to this strategy in terms of growth and trying to get the most out of investing into these products. So the first con I'm going to talk about here is it's a very strict strategy. It's not flexible at all. So for an example, here are some good sets: Prismatic Evolutions, Evolving Skies, 151. Would you truly treat investing into Prismatic Evolutions, Evolving Skies, or 151 the same as Battle Styles, the same as Shrouded Fable, the same as Scarlet and Violet base, would you really use the same parameters, the same, things to use as a strategy? Like, for example, only investing at MSRP. Would you really use the same things? In my opinion, I think that's crazy, right? Because I think most people would agree that Prismatic Evolutions, 151, they're better sets than Scarlet and Violet base, right? So therefore, there's a lot more upside to them. So then why would you use the exact same strategy of, oh, okay, I'll buy all of them at MSRP, and if I can't, just forget about it. That's not really flexible, right? Because all sets are different. Prismatic Evolutions, Scarlet and Violet base, they're not the same at all. One is way more popular, has way more value than the other set. So that's a big reason why I don't like this strategy of only investing in MSRP. It's such a strict requirement, and if you can't meet it, you just never buy into it. So you're never going to buy into maybe some of these sets like Prismatic, Evolving Skies, which obviously is out of print at this point, but or 151 because you couldn't get it at MSRP. In my opinion, I feel like that's a huge reason why it's not a great strategy, is because, well, if you can't do it, I'm just going to skip on it. But potentially, let's say, for example, Prismatic Evolutions, ETBs, not too long ago, were about $90. Yeah, is that still about double MSRP? Yeah, but what is it at now? What is it going to be like in a few years? Was it really worth using that MSRP number to not buy it at all, when in the future it's probably going to be exponentially more expensive regardless of if you bought it at MSRP or if you paid a little bit above it? Something to think about. Now, the next reason, I sort of already kind of mentioned it here. It reduces the upside potential because you're not even possibly buying into it. So we've seen previously that even if you do buy above MSRP, you still see massive returns. Prismatic Evolutions, for some products, we've seen that. Obviously, it's a little bit not of a great example because I guess we've gotten a lot of restocks. Evolving Skies is a great example of, okay, you bought a booster box when it was $300. What is it today? $2,200, right? You bought it when it was at $700. You would have stole 3 extra money, and that wasn't that long ago. That was about a year ago. It was $700. So you can still see massive returns. Even 151 regular ETBs, not too long ago, about what, maybe a year and a half ago, a year ago, it was about $70, $100. You see what it's at now. It's at almost $400. You can still see tremendous returns for these products if you're buying above MSRP. And that's not, obviously I can talk about Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, all these other sets, but you guys get the point here. I mean, this number of MSRP truly doesn't matter when the upside and the returns are exponential. So that's, why, if you don't buy above MSRP, I mean, you won't even be able to see these gains that we've seen in history because you're setting this a limit for yourself. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here, which is a huge reason why I don't do this strategy, is because the quantity you can buy at is so limited. In a market where obviously everything's above MSRP, market prices, sometimes double MSRP, stores that sell at retail, they have quantity limits, purchase limits that you can buy, right? So if you're investing, it obviously depends on the scale you invest and how much money you have available to invest in a Pokemon, but your quantity you can buy is so limited. Most places it's 1 per person, 2 per person. Guys, like I said, it depends on the scale. If the scale you're investing into Pokemon is strictly only a few products, maybe one booster box, maybe a couple of ETBs, buying at MSRP may still be a very viable strategy, because if it's within the quantity and the amount you want to invest, then there's no problem, right? But for someone like me and many other people out there, when you're buying, hundreds of a product, thousands, tens of thousands of a product, it's not even possible, right, to buy at MSRP and get the quantity and invest the amount you want to. It's literally impossible. And maybe there's people that have bots out there. I mean, that's maybe a thing, but still, even with that, if you're buying hundreds of a product, it's like near impossible, right? If you want to buy hundreds of a booster box, it's not very possible to do that just buying MSRP, because you won't be able to. There's not enough places to buy from, and it just wouldn't be possible to just even do it. So there's another reason. It's just you can't really do this strategy at a scale when the market price is higher than MSRP. You can't. because there's limits in place that doesn't allow that to happen. So that's what I wanted to cover in this video, just the pros and cons of investing at MSRP. Definitely, like I said, for people out there that only want to invest, into one booster box, a couple ETBs, and you can do it, by all means, go for it. You're down, you reduce your downside risk. You're already ahead of the curve because you're buying under market price, and it's within what you want to invest into Pokemon. Sure, I mean, it doesn't hurt you. But for somebody that's trying to go for growth, and obviously in the space where we've seen exponential growth for products, using this strategy and just strictly this strategy, probably not the best strategy out there. It limits your upside by a long shot. And for some of these sets that are potentially gonna exponentially grow here in the next few years, 5 years, using just this strict number, it's gonna really make you miss out on a lot of gains, because we've seen in history that MSRP really does not matter because things in the space grow exponentially at a certain point. So that's all I want to talk about in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Do you use this strategy or not? Personally, with me, you guys know I don't use this strategy at all. I don't really care about MSRP, but it's worth noting it is sort of buying into a floor price, because most likely it's not going to go below that. So it does reduce your downside risk. But that's all I want to talk about in this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.